Welcome to Excel for MAT021. This is an intro to Excel. We'll be looking at the examples out of your workbook for this section. The first thing that our examples ask us to do is change our view to page layout. This allows you to see what would be printed on specific pages. Now to do this, you need to go to the View tab, and there are directions for this in your workbook, not page layout. So if you go under View, okay, and then there's another little tab that says page layout. I know it's kind of confusing. It is that they have two things named that, but under View and then page layout, and you'll see it changes it. You could add a header. If I scroll down, I could add a footer, give it titles. But you'll see what cells will be printed on specific pages. I'm also going to make mine bigger so that you'll be able to see when I type things in. All right, so then for 2, it says working in sheet 1, and I can tell this is sheet 1 if I look down at the bottom. It's labeled down here, sheet 1. Type your first and last name into cell A1. So I'm going to type in, I'm just going to make up a name today. You will put in your actual name. So you can see the name I have here actually goes out into another one. So I want to wrap that so it fits only in that cell and doesn't go over into the next one. So to do that, I'm going to go back to Home. And up here I have this little wrap text symbol. So if I click on that, it will wrap it so that it fits in the cell. Now I don't like the A being down there, so I'm going to make it a little bit wider so that it fits. Okay. All right, so then for number 3, on sheet 1, we're going to use Excel to evaluate some expressions. And we're going to use cells B4 to B7. Okay. You're going to have a parentheses. If a problem like here, problem B has parentheses in it, if the problem has parentheses, you definitely have to include those. But also when we have fractions, we will have to put those numerators and denominators in parentheses as well to make sure Excel calculates correctly. Okay, so I'm going to start in cell B4. Make sure you start where they tell you to start. So column B, cell 4, right here. All right, so for A, we have 6 plus 8 minus 2 to the 4th divided by 8. Remember, anytime you put in something to evaluate in Excel, it has to start with an equal sign. And then we'll do 6 plus 8 minus, and then 2, and to get to the exponent, you'll need to do Shift 6. That'll give you the caret that is used for exponents to the 4th divided by 8 and hit enter. And you should get 12. Okay. Now, some people might want to, just to make sure that Excel knows, you could put parentheses around 2 to the 4th just so it knows that that goes together. You could see that it didn't matter in this particular one. You still get the same answer. Okay. For B, okay, we have 6 squared, the quantity 6 squared plus 7 divided by the quantity 1 minus 4 cubed. So again, equals, we'll do a parenthesis for our first parentheses, and then 6, that caret, 2 plus 7, end that parentheses, and then we'll do our division, and we'll do our next parentheses. So, and then 1 minus 4, Shift 6 to get that caret, and 3, and put our parentheses. Now when I hit enter here, I'm going to get a really long decimal. That's okay. We will get decimal answers from some of these. Okay. So this will be our decimal, negative 0.68254. If I made that row, or sorry, that column wider, you could see it'll give me more of the decimal. Okay. I can also, just gonna shorten it back up there. Change how many decimal places using the buttons under the Home tab that will increase or decrease the decimal. So if I want to show fewer decimal places, let's say they only ask for 2, I could do that, or I could increase it. Okay. Now, I don't want you to do any of this for this particular one. I just want you to let it give whatever answer it gives. Do not set any, limits to the decimal place values. Also, don't change it to display it as a fraction. Okay, there is a way you can do that. Don't do that for this. Okay. All right, for C, we're going to do it equals. Now, we have a numerator here, 9 times the quantity 12 minus 7. And then that's over the quantity 6 plus 15. So in Excel, if you have a fraction, the numerator, we'll have to go in a parenthesis, and then I would have a division symbol because that's what a fraction shows is division, and then parentheses and the denominator. Okay. Now, of course, I can't leave words in there. Excel won't like that. But just so you know, the numerator has to go in a parenthesis and the denominator in a parenthesis. Otherwise, it will not calculate correctly. Okay. So for my numerator, I have 9 times. You cannot just put a parenthesis. You actually have to do the times symbol. Excel does not understand a number next to the parentheses. And then parenthesis again, 12 minus 7. Because our problem had a parenthesis. So the problem had it. I had to put that one in. Okay. There was also another one used for our numerator. So you can see how Excel shows you which parentheses are paired up. These two on the inside, they're red on my computer, and then the outside ones are black. Okay. So then for our denominator, we can just do 6 plus 15 inside that parenthesis. Okay. So when I hit enter, should get a decimal for this one too, 2.14 or something. Yeah. So that would be our answer. Okay. So just be careful when you're putting in fractions. Make sure you put the numerator in a parenthesis. Same thing with the denominator. Okay. All right, and let's look at 3D. So for 3D, we're going to do, again, our numerator will go in a parenthesis. So for my numerator, I have 56 minus 165. Then division sign for my fraction. And then I'll have a parenthesis for my denominator. Okay, so 6, don't forget your multiplication symbol. Parentheses, 56 minus 2 raised to the 6th and in that parentheses. Okay, and then hit enter and another long decimal there. Okay, so 2.27. Okay, now I'm going to just get rid of this multiplication so you can see what happens. If I don't put that in and I hit enter, Excel says we found a typo and tried to correct it. And look, they put that little multiplication symbol in for me. Do I want to accept? Yes. And in most cases, if they corrected it for you, they probably, not always, but they probably corrected it correctly or did it correctly. So I would say 99% of the time, click yes. Actually, I would say 100%. Just go ahead and click yes to accept. Okay. All right, so that's number 3.